Good morning, everybody. Or should I say good afternoon? How are you? This is the Rabbi here and the Mayor. How you doing today, Ben, on this lovely Sunday afternoon?
Pretty good. It's our first snowy day, first or second of this fall, but it's a snow day today.
It sure, as you can see behind me, I'm here at Empire at Mile High, only moments before kickoff, and I don't know if you can see it here, but it is a winter wonderland here, and it's going to be quite a game here in the snow here in Denver.
Right. I believe this is an opportune time to reiterate your message, especially before Election Day, regarding salting our streets.
Yes, yes, we need to go out and salt our streets. I tried taking my kid to school today, and I was very cautious because it was like basically driving on an ice rink out here in Denver. It's like they never saw snow before. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of stop complaining about it, and I'm going to take this to city council, God willing, sometime in the near future. I'm going to go ahead and set up fill out the paperwork, get on there. I think they're on Zoom now, and I'm going to give an impassioned plea for salting our streets. Hashtag SOS. But to salt our streets. It's election season, and it's time to salt our streets. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Absolutely. You know, I got your back.
Good. So Ben, how I know we spoke last week on Monday, right? Towards the final showdown for our fantasy week of last week, leading up to this doubleheader on Monday. How did that come out for you last week?
Not so good. As you may recall, viewers, I told Brad to bench Ezekiel Elliott. I put all my mental energy into shutting down Ezekiel Elliott. And, it actually worked, actually. All my mental energy. He fumbled twice. That was because I was putting all my mental energy towards shutting him down. He scored a grand whopping total of 4 fantasy points. 4.
So how did you do? What was the downside?
The downside is, I completely succeeded in mentally shutting down Ezekiel Elliott. I diverted my energy and therefore did not put my energy towards shutting down the Arizona Cardinals defense. And the defense put a whooping on the Cowboys and on my fantasy team. And I had, for the second week in a row, a devastating, very close, heartbreaking loss because of that darn Cardinals defense.
Yeah,
Brad, very, very lucky that you had that Cardinals defense, because I completely succeeded in virtually benching Ezekiel Elliott for you.
But Brad is here with us. He's talking some trash here on the show. He defeated you last week. I guess he's calling your team a losing effort. That was a loser, unfortunately for you.
Well, when you have 2 awful teams going up against each other, one of them has to be slightly less awful and win.
There. If you recall, I don't know if you remember, I was facing off against my own flesh and blood.
Yeah. So tell us about how that turned out, that epic battle with you and Avrami.
You know what? I was feeling pretty comfy, down 9 points with one of the best wide receivers in the whole league, a guy named Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill went ahead and put up all of 2 points for me last week. 2 points he got for me. I believe he had maybe like 2 receptions for like 20 yards, something like that. And my son beat me by 7 points because Tyreek Hill came out absolutely flat. The Chiefs rolled over the team that they played through the ground game. They did not throw. And I hate the Chiefs so much. Even when I root for them, they still let me down. They won the game, which made me mad, and they didn't throw the ball, which made me mad. In my own flesh and blood, a rookie going up against his pops for the first time ever took me down. He defeated me. And didn't feel good. Did not feel good at all.
No.
So
we have had, Danny, you and I have had some of the greatest fantasy heartbreak these past couple of weeks, right? No, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, you got your first victory, correct?
This is true, but that didn't last long. It was, I'm now sitting here at 1-5 in 11th place, and you, my friend, you are in 10th place at 2-4. Despite the fact that I have 76 more points than you, alas, that doesn't matter. It doesn't help. Doesn't mean anything. I am sitting in 11th place. I kid you not. And this week I am losing like I normally do. And yeah, it's rough. And just speaking of this, let's just transition a little bit from our league to, we've spoken about before about my involvement in multiple leagues. And last week, for the first time, I went 0-4. 0 wins, 4 losses. And that didn't feel good. Not at all. I was wondering if you had any words of comfort, words of wisdom for me as I try to battle back this week.
No, I really don't. I really don't. It's so painful to lose even one time and then to have that pain quadrupled.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine what it feels like to be going through that. The only advice I could have is just to hope that the next week comes as soon as possible. And it's here. Luckily, it's here. It's upon us. And there's always next week. Except for when you lose at the end of the season, then you have to live with that the whole off season.
Yes. Yes. That's tough. This week is here, and it's not going much better for me. In each of my 4 leagues, I'm currently losing. One of the leagues, I'm losing by 80 right now. So it's just kind of been a bad
after Thursday night's game.
Well, as of like right now, meaning we're talking a game.
Oh, okay. Sundays. Like almost, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's I think it just, you mentioned I'm in 10th place. I'm literally like 2 or 3 roster moves, like playing one player instead of another, maybe 2 or 3 roster moves from instead of being 2-4 to being 4-2. And then I'm in 5th place, right? I think it's so important to emphasize the woulda, coulda, shoulda aspect of fantasy football. How important it is to know that even if we're in 2-4 and in 10th place, if we can just emphasize and focus on how we were just a couple roster decisions away, that we could be much higher in the ranking and competing for a playoff spot. I think it's just very important to focus in life on woulda, coulda, shoulda and how it applies to fantasy. Wouldn't you agree, Danny?
Kind of, yes. I mean, I love your perspective. Love your perspective on seeing the positive of that. But I would also say a person could view that negatively. They could just be sulking in their basement couch all week or all off season, thinking the shoulda, woulda, couldas, both for fantasy football and for life. So it's like, I like the positive spin that you just did on that. Like, wow, I really could be way up there in life or in fantasy football if I just did a couple little things different. It ain't too late to switch that around. And at the same time, not to ever like sulk, like, well, if I only do this and only do that, and then you're just like sulking in your misery. That's definitely no way to live your life. So I do like that perspective a lot. Now, if I may, I want to connect that a little bit to a game going on today with the Cleveland Browns and whoever it is that they're playing. Baker Mayfield started off today a little bit rough, to say the least. He was 0-for-5 with 1 interception that injured his best receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., who should have a refuah shlema. He's on one of my fantasy teams, which is one of the reasons I'm down by 80 points. Be that as it may, Baker turned it around, right? He could have been sulking there. He could have been, woulda, shoulda, coulda, didn't. Now what? Now I have no hope, whatever. Could have been just sulking, right? But instead, he took your approach, my friend, and he said, well, if I only did a couple little things, little adjustments here and there, I'm not 0-4, 0-5, I'm 5-5 with a touchdown, not a pick. And you know what he went since then? In case you haven't seen the game film yet, you could close yours, but I'll tell all of our thousands of listeners and viewers right now. He went 15 of 15 with not 1, not 2, not even 3 touchdowns. No, not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. And he's crushing it. 15 for 15 with 3 touchdowns. That's pretty good. So you might start low. You might get down. You might be bummed. You might be out. You feel like you're down and out. But you just know you can turn it around on a dime. The coulda, woulda, shoulda. Well, you could start doing that, and it could start going your way. So I think that's some good life wisdom that we see from one Baker Mayfield and your Cleveland Browns. So, yes. Cool. So I know that, we want to let our thousands of viewers have enough time to go over to their couch, turn on the Broncos, and and kind of get their beverage in hand and get ready to rumble, ready to watch. Before we do that, anything that we left out, or should we just jump right into the predictions for this
Well,
for today's
I
game?
would just point out that, last week's Broncos game is not exciting as it was with 8 field goals. One way of looking at it, though, the game of football is that really one way of looking at it is that touchdowns are just kind of a bonus, icing on the cake, and that really the game is about field positioning for you to take your best shot at a field goal. In other words, you could look at the game of football as being about kicking field goals where you're trying to get the best position. And if you get a touchdown on all those bonus points, hey, all the better. But really, you could look at it as a game of field position for kicking field goals. In other words, you can look at the field goals not as settling or necessarily as compromising, but as that's what the game's about. And the touchdowns are just extra. I don't know. You may not agree after, the 2013 Peyton Manning Denver Broncos. One may not agree with that. One may want the touchdown. But if you look at it that way, then last week's Broncos game against the Patriots with 8 made field goals is maybe not so terrible after all. It wasn't that exciting. So my prediction for today's game is there's not going to be nearly as much field goal kicking. Today's game going up against the defending Super Bowl Kansas City Chiefs, arch rival Chiefs. Pat Mahomes, the highest paid athlete in the history of sports. He's getting paid to score touchdowns. So I don't think it's not going to be a field goal fest like last week. I think with Mahomes in the building, there's going to be a lot of touchdowns, and the Broncos are going to have to score touchdowns to keep up. And so that's why, even though I have Brandon McManus now on my team, I'm not starting him because I don't think there's going to be an abundance of field goals. So today, I hate to say this, but it's your son of Rummy's fault for drafting those Baltimore Ravens defense right out from under me, leaving me to have to settle for the Kansas City Chiefs defense. So here I am having to start the Chiefs defense. So today, it's a Rummy's fault. Today, I have to be a Chiefs fan. Rummy, give me the Ravens defense. Do it. Give it to me. Let me know what you want. I'll give you candy.
I told him not to take candy.
Chiefs 45-10.
Yeah, very little hope in my Broncos. I see. I respect it. First of all, I did want to say in your field goal comment, I do think to a large extent you're onto something deep. I think in Judaism, actually, a lot of our rabbinic restrictions, basically, the rabbis give us safeguards to just keep us in good field position to make the right choices. So it's kind of like keeping that proper field position, so we're in decent position to make the right moves, the right choices. So that's a thought that came to mind as you were speaking. That it's all about like rabbinic safeguards for us. Brad's predicting 42-3 Chiefs. Now listen, the last time the Broncos met the Chiefs with Drew Lock under center, it was a winter wonderland, much like today in Kansas City. And you and I, Ben, were together, I believe, in St. Louis after going 0 for the tournament in our tour and turf valiant effort. And I remember sitting there with my 2 boys in a bar in the St. Louis airport, just watching it just dump. And I just watched my precious Broncos just get absolutely shechted, as we say in Hebrew, slaughtered, destroyed. It was not pretty. I don't see the Broncos, unfortunately. I was thinking, maybe it's snowing, so maybe that'll slow down Patty Mahomes. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it being very enjoyable or watchable. I'm going not quite as drastic as you and Brad, but I'm thinking 34-13 Chiefs win it. Never a doubt in mind. It's going to be ugly. Just remind us of just how lousy our management is, and we are, and how far behind the Chiefs we are, and it's going to make for a depressing day. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm going to just go maybe grab a nice cold Coca-Cola, maybe a thing of ice cream, and just eat my sorrows away And yeah, I'm a Broncos fan. I got to watch it. Can't deny that. I was hoping today would not be snowy. I could take care of my leaves in the backyard during the game, so I don't have to suffer. But alas, it's snowing. There's nothing to do but watch it. And I'm going to do it. It's going to be tough, but 34-13 Chiefs, it's okay. There's more to life than the Broncos. So this year's reminding me of that, like the last 5 years have as well.
2 words, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields?
Well, Trevor's beyond. We're too good for Trevor. So maybe you have to tell me later. Maybe next episode you'll tell me about this Fields character and see if we're in the running for that guy.
Ohio State quarterback had a big game yesterday in first Big Ten action of the year.
I like what I'm hearing. I like this.
Heisman finalist last year.
Beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to take a look at his tape. Film me more next week. We'll commiserate together next week. All of you out there watching, thanks for joining us. Go Broncos. And may God bless you and America and all of us. Cheerio.
Cheerio.
All right. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.